The 2022 season was less than ideal for Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets. They lost one of their stars for someone who can't shoot and hasn't played basketball in over a year. Another star has officially proven basketball is not his number one priority, and they got swept in the first round of the playoffs. While this is terrible for the future of this team, what is Kevin Durant really supposed to do? He can't request a trade with 4 years left on his contract. Kevin Durant has just requested a trade with 4 years left on his contract. Now, this unprecedentedly good player, asking out with an unprecedented amount of time left on his contract, happened about a month and a half ago, and he hasn't been traded. This is of course odd, as a player like Kevin Durant would warrant a plethora of good, not fair, but good offers, and a team would normally accept one of these offers and move on, but not the Brooklyn Nets. These Brooklyn Nets have done everything to make KD and Kyrie happy, and it still hasn't been enough for them, and ownership has had enough. They have put their foot down and will not accept a mediocre offer for Durant. This might seem like a terrible idea, but the Nets do have a surprising amount going for them. First, let's start with a quick timeline of events leading up to today. First, they got swept by the Boston Celtics, and there was a lot of discourse as Kyrie Irving wanted a max extension, and the Nets aren't giving him one. That's when the rumors start of Kevin wanting out, but Kyrie opts in, making it seem like they're going to make one last run with this team, but that isn't the case. Soon after, KD officially requests a trade. Teams like the Suns, Heat, Celtics, Grizzlies, Raptors, and Timberwolves are put as the likely teams to get him, as there are places that could potentially put together good packages, as well as being places KD would potentially be happy. Just casually the best teams in the league. The thing is, the Nets stood strong. They were not willing to accept any offers that were just okay. The Suns didn't want to give up Booker? No deal. The Wolves didn't want to give up Ant-Man? No deal. The Raptors didn't want to give up Scotty Barnes? No deal. I think you get it. These teams don't want to part ways with elite young players for 4 years of an aging and slightly injury-prone Durant, and the Nets won't take anything less than elite young players. With all of this time being wasted, teams eventually had to move on with the rest of their offseason. The front-running Suns had to match DeAndre Ayton's contract, so they couldn't trade him, killing the package. Then, the move that was most responsible for Kevin Durant not being traded by now. The Timberwolves traded for Rudy Gobert. There are 2 problems with this deal. One, it took the Timberwolves out of the deal. Second, they gave up 5 firsts for Gobert. If Rudy Gobert is worth 5 firsts and some young players, KD must be worth at least some young stars and 5 firsts, so that's what the Nets started asking for. When the Celtics made a deal of Jaylen Brown and Derek White and 2 firsts, the Nets declined, asking for the DPOY Smart and another first or 2. The asking price was steep. Lastly, Kevin Durant, in an attempt to get out, asks ownership to fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks. That brings us to the modern day. So that was a very complex timeline, so let's break it down. First, with what Durant has going for him. The obvious one first. Kevin Durant is a superstar and one of the best players in the league. Even those mediocre offers I was talking about earlier are some of the biggest offers we've ever seen. Traditionally, when a star of this caliber asks out, they are out, because the team trading them gives up and takes a pretty good return. And second, unfortunately for him, that's about all that Kevin Durant has going for him to get traded right now. Even though in these types of situations the star normally has the power, Kevin Durant doesn't for a variety of reasons we're about to see. Now, for what the Nets have going for them. First, they know what it feels like to lose control of their team, and they are motivated to get it back. Showing Kevin Durant they can't be pushed around into firing Nash shows Kevin he isn't just going to get whatever he wants, including him not being traded to whatever team he wants. They're going to look for what is best for their franchise. Second, the Nets could still be a good team. If they don't trade Durant before the start of the season, they have a bit of time to prove they can still be contenders, and that might keep Kevin around because at the end of the day, Kevin really just wants a ring. Now, you might point out that he could sit out and then the Nets wouldn't be good anyways, but here's where we get to some of the bigger reasons the Nets have the upper hand. First, Kevin Durant has 4 years left on his contract. It's not like he can tell the Nets that he is going to sit out for 4 years. They would obviously call his bluff. I know Ben Simmons threatened to sit out with 4 years left on his contract, but even the Sixers called his bluff and waited for a good trade offer to come to the table, similar to the Nets now. Also, Kevin is much older than Ben. If Kevin Durant really sat out 4 years, which again really doesn't have any chance of happening, he would be 38 when his contract is up. That's older than LeBron is right now. Kevin Durant only has a few peak years left and he isn't going to sit them out. Lastly, there's one more huge reason Kevin Durant doesn't hold power, and it is that he is mentally weak when it comes to the media. He cares so much about what his haters say that he would never sit out. Kevin Durant literally left the perfect scenario in Golden State because his haters said he needed to win a chip without a super team. Dude has a burner account on Twitter. You cannot tell me the hate would not get to his head if he sits out. So those are the problems for Kevin Durant and where the truth lies. The Nets have way more advantages over Durant than he has over them. The Nets are a confident franchise ready to take back control over their team, which is unfortunate for Kevin Durant as it doesn't seem like he's going to get traded to whatever team he wants for a mid-package. Now, I am all for player empowerment and movement, which is why I'll be making a video about it next week, but there is a line and Kevin Durant has crossed it. He had all the power in the front office. He wanted an aging DeAndre Jordan, he got it. He wanted Steve Nash to coach, he got it. He wanted them to give up their entire future for James Harden. He got it. Now, Kevin Durant is trying to blame the Nets when it is all his fault. He tried to get Nash fired, even though his underperformance was a huge reason they were swept. Now, the Nets are prepared to show Durant that they are not going to get pushed around any longer. They are only going to accept the offer that is best for them when trading Durant, and that is their right. This could make their team worse in the short term, as you'll have 1, 2, or maybe even 3 unhappy, dysfunctional stars. But in the long run, this will help you recreate the culture in Brooklyn that they had in 2019 before KD and Kyrie destroyed it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Feel free to talk about the situation in the comments below. I mentioned it very briefly in the video, but next week I'll be making a video about player empowerment and movement and what that could look like in the future. Anyways, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more NBA content weekly. Peace out.